The next speaker ran for Mayor of Arlington. He's a business owner. He's a dynamic speaker. I heard him the other day over at Tarrant County Courthouse. It's like a hurricane when he starts talking. It's amazing. So let's give a warm welcome to Kelly Burke.
All right, so since we're in an intimate setting, I won't be screaming and being loud today. All right, I'm just talking normal. So to piggyback, let's start with, because I can talk a lot. So let's start with the vax, the jab, right? Just a few things like she was saying. So it was a year and a half ago before we had any scares of cases or any of this stuff, right? We own a daycare, my wife and I. We own a daycare, and it's an academy too. We teach up to 12 years old students. So our kids have never had a jab. They've never had any of that stuff. Our newest one, who's a 2-year-old, we had her at home in the bathtub. My wife didn't take any medication. She's a soldier. Right? Taught her like a football. So I'm Dr. Burke now. Y'all can never refer to me as Dr. Who needs to go to school to deliver a baby, right? Right. So walking to the daycare one day, and my daughter wasn't feeling good this day. And so we had her like laying in a crib, but we would go in periodically and check on her. And she's in the classroom, so it's a teacher in there. And so the teacher runs out, she's like, "This Burke, come here, something's wrong with your baby." So she's like, "What?" She's like, so we go in and we're looking at her and shortness of breath, like, you know, and so we're trying to go through protocol, trying to give her stuff and trying to figure out what's going on. And then we walk out of the room and the teacher comes out and says, "She's blue." So we call the ambulance, they rush her to MCA in Arlington. And you know how they do. I mean, it's 1,000,001 people on a baby, and we're freaking out. We don't know what's going on. And so from there, they rush her to Cook's Children. They have to transport her. So they get her there. They're asking us what happened. You know, she turned blue. She stopped breathing, et cetera, et cetera. So they take her to the protocol. They had already put her on oxygen at MCA, right? And she's not even barely 2 yet, right? So once we get there, they said, since they already started oxygen, we have to put her on it, okay? So they continue the oxygen, and now we're in the hospital for 3 days now, right? And she's still on oxygen. And so now my wife goes into mother mode and starts asking questions. Okay, so how many days longer does she have to stay on this breathing machine? What's the protocol moving forward? She's asking the questions like she said, right? And so we start seeing people get antsy from our questions, right? And so, you know, we're awake, right? Woke and awake, right? So we're awake, and so we start, you know, praying and like, God, show us what to do. And so my wife was like, if she's been on this machine for 3 days, plus the day that she came in, that's a total of 4 days, I think she should probably come off. And they're like, okay, well, let's go check with the doctor. And so, you know, nurse after nurse comes in, and finally they come back and say, well, the doctor says maybe another day or two just to keep watching her. And so my wife's like, okay, well, what about vitamin C? And they said, oh, wow, yeah, that's a good idea. Let us go check. So again, 3 nurses come in. Yeah, we're checking. Head nurse comes back. Yeah, we spoke to the doctor, and they said, that wouldn't be a good idea. My wife's like, we could just put it in her, you know, feeding tube and just mix it in there. And I think she'll recover very fast. We give her vitamin C all the time. Like, it's natural. They're like, yeah, we know, but the doctor says no because it might mess up some of the treatment that we've already given her. You know, and so they walk out the room. My wife looks at me. I'm like, what do you want to do? She's like, go get the vitamin C. So I go get the vitamin C. I know I'm being recorded, but I don't care. Go get the vitamin C. We close the curtain, and we start dumping that stuff in there too. I mean, when I say dumping it, we're dumping it as much as she can handle for a baby, right? We're not even dosing it. We're just, you know. And so she's moving. Before she's laying there, like, I mean, almost lifeless. Wow. Within 3 hours, moving around, looking at us, reaching for us. By day 2, we were like, you need to take her off of this machine. They took, finally, after us demanding, they took her off the machine. We're still putting it in her feeding tube. By day 3, she was up and walking. Right? And then, so here's the deal. They don't even want you to give somebody vitamin C. We're talking about vitamin C. Same thing she was saying. Sunday, Dr. McCullough was here. So we go to his seminar in Fort Worth, and he says, out of all the viruses that we've ever seen, this particular virus is one of the only viruses that vitamin C, turmeric, zinc works. He said, we can't prescribe this stuff for almost any other real virus besides this one. Now why isn't anyone talking about that, right? Also, of course, when it comes to the medication that we know that works, right? Remember what happened when Trump came out and said he took it and it worked and he got better. When people start requesting it from their doctors, guess what they did? They banned it.
Yeah.
Any doctor that said,
the factory in China.
there you go, it blew the factory up, right? Any doctor that prescribed it or said, this is what I want my patient to have, they will revoke the license. Sent emails to everybody and said, do not prescribe these for patients anymore. Dr. McCullough said when people would go to the pharmacy to get their script filled, the pharmacies would say two things. Number one, let us call your doctor to confirm that this is what he wrote for you. And they would call the doctor and say, oh, he's not answering, we can't give it to you. So they had to go back to the doctor, call the doctor, and go back and forth until finally the people would give up. The second thing is they would say that they dose it by weight. And the doctor didn't write your weight on your prescription. So since you don't have a weight on there, you need to go back to him and take your weight. Right. And then come back and then we'll give it to you. Well, after people going back and forth, they just finally refuse it. And we know why. Because they want us to be sick. Now, we all know that coronavirus had a 0.0000000 whatever percentage of people dying from it, right? But all of this scare, and in my family and my friends, everybody is afraid over something that the death rate is, as you said, negative 1%, right? That could be solved with natural stuff over the counter. And when you try to explain this to someone in layman's terms, they think you're an idiot.
Yep.
You're not a medical professional, so why are you speaking on medical professionals' information? Well, I'm giving you information that actually came from a doctor too. Well, yeah, but he's a quack. Both of them, McCullough and McCullough, are quacks. So we don't. Did you see what CNN did to him? Yeah, they tried to blast the man and put his residence and his office on the news. And this is not a confrontational man. He's not a guy that's looking for trouble. He's a guy that's trying to give out real information. We see they've defamed doctors. They've killed doctors. They've stripped people's medical licenses. These people are not playing. And we all know it's not over. We've only halfway through this thing. Biden and that administration, they are not giving up. They are not. So we have to continue to fight this thing head on. Thankful for the ones of us that have been facing it head on because it's coming. It's getting stronger. It's getting stronger. And the Bible talks about a great deception coming over people. Do we believe that we're in that time right now?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
It's a great deception. When people can see something that makes no sense and know it doesn't make any sense and still believe. And we all know that now we're coming out with a third dose.
Blinded the minds of the unbelievers.
Yeah.
It's a third jab coming out now. A third one. As if the first two didn't work. Then the president of the Pfizer, the CEO, was he coming down to Texas or somewhere, or someplace to do a seminar to talk? They asked for his medical release card. You guys heard about that?
No.
He said, I don't have it. No, he said, I'm not fully vaccinated, were his safe words to say. As if like, well, maybe I got the first one, but not the second one. He just says fully. That's the same thing to say. So they said, right, I'm not fully vaccinated either. None of us are, right? But that's what he said. The guy that makes it, the CEO. And they asked him, well, why aren't you fully vaccinated yet? He said, I'm saving it for all the people that can't have it. Right. I'm saving it for everybody else that wants it. That's what we're all doing here, right? We're talking about the CEO.
Right.
People in the White House, they interviewed some of those people. They took a poll. How many people were taking it? How many people weren't? 60-40. These people know that half of America is blind. And they'll do anything they say. Look, it's simple to me. If a politician says do something, I'm not doing it.
That's right.
It's just that simple. And I don't care what side they're on, red or blue. If a politician comes out and says, hey, you guys, I think you should go do this with your bodies. No.
Do opposite.
Yeah, right.
I'm just going to do opposite. If a group of people are walking this way, I'm going to go this way. If a crowd is running this way, I'm going to walk the other direction. Because if we become followers, we're going to follow the crowd into destruction. Right? The Bible says that the Antichrist is yet to come, but the Antichrist spirit is already loose in the world right now. And this was biblical times, meaning that that spirit was there then and it's here now. What is the Antichrist spirit? Anything that's opposite of God, anything that's pure, anything that's holy, anything that's truthful. So anything that those people say, I know it's a lie, because the spirit that is governing those people is evil. And that's the same spirit that's blanketed over America. So when you pray, that's what you gear your prayers towards. Is saying, God, restore us, restore America. Whatever this spirit is that's over America, that is taming people, that is blinding people, break it. Because this deception has people blinded. Don't they seem like zombies?
Yes, exactly.
When clearly we can see the truth and the information right there, and then when you send them something, when you explain it to them, they'll still shake their head no. I had a guy tell me, I said, I've given her information about the vaccine. He said, you know what? It could kill me and I'll still take it.
Oh my God.
He said, and I'll top you one. If I worked for the CDC, he said, I'd give it to other people too, even if I knew it was poisonous.
Oh.
He said, you know why? Because those people start out making $85,000 a year.
Oh my God.
I said, so you would kill people knowingly for $85,000 a year? He said, wouldn't you?
Oh my God.
Wow. There you go.
This is the time we're living in. They don't have to force people to do anything. They'll just line up to do it. They'll walk right in there freely and do it. And let's not even mention the $18 billion that Johnson & Johnson has made off the vaccine. And people say, how do they make money? It's free.
You really don't want to take it. That's the one that really
Exactly. That's the one they took off the market and put right back on, right?
Yeah.
It's out of our taxpayer pocket.
Exactly. We're just living in some scary times right now. What's going on in Afghanistan right now?
Good. The Taliban.
And where's Joe Biden? On vacation.
In the basement.
Basement.
Sleeping Joe in the basement.
Went back to the basement. In the middle of a war, of a Taliban takeover, Joe Biden says, I'll be on vacation from August to whatever to August the 25th.
Indefinite.
He takes a vacation
Seven Saki.
They're all over the side.
while people are dying.
Tell them, Joni.
Look, I'm just, it's so much information to take in. I'm going through some of the information earlier and looking at it online. Look, I just broke out in tears because I'm like, these people are dying. We brought over like 2,000 Afghanis. It's 2 million of those people.
Right.
Like, and our people too. Like, think about it. We've been over there for 20 years. They've said they've given America a plan on how to evacuate. And Biden. Because they kept saying that this is what he was going to do regardless. Gave him a plan over and over. This is the action plan. This is what we need to do to get our people out of there. And they do the complete opposite. And people are like, well, it doesn't make any sense for him to do something like that. No. It makes sense. Because he's ruled. He's governed. He's controlled. When we would call him China Joe, people would just think we were cracking jokes. We call him China Joe because he works for China.
That's right.
Now information came out today. Somebody sent me a message on the way here and said, well, did you hear about the Taliban and China being connected?
Duh.
It's all connected. It's not the Taliban and China being connected. It's the powers that be are moving their hands behind the scenes, and it's all connected.
Absolutely.
If you connect the dots, it all works together. So when we tell somebody we believe that COVID is a political stunt, and we believe it's a political weapon, they're like, it's not political. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Have you guys asked yourself this question about COVID? How many deaths have you heard about for people that say they're going to not go to the hospital and self-quarantine? And if they are, we don't hear about them. The people that die go to the hospital.
Yep.
She was just saying it earlier. I don't think that these nurses and this medical staff are killing people on purpose. I don't. I think that the protocol they're using is killing people.
Roll the dice. Roll the dice.
And here's the sad thing. Those nurses don't know.
Right.
They think they're doing a good thing, and I've argued with them. Hand over foot. I've argued with nurses and told them, look, the way that you guys are treating people is killing them.
Yeah.
It's not the COVID. They're like, no. It's they had such a severe case. It's COVID. It's COVID. I had COVID. I had it over a year ago. I treated myself with this: vitamin C, zinc, black seed oil tabs, turmeric, and essential fatty acids. Those are my 5 things, and a whole bunch of orange juice. I put on 5 hoodies, 2 pairs of pants, got up under 2 blankets, and slept like a dog for 48 hours. For 48 hours. It was miserable. My wife was like, I don't know how you can stand to sweat like that for so long. I'm like, because whatever this is, I want to get it out.
Right.
And I'm like, and I know it's COVID. She thought I was cracking a joke. I'm like, no, this is COVID. I'm like, all the symptoms are COVID. Right? By day 3, I was back on my feet.
That's right.
Out of the house again, moving around. Right? And continue to take that same stuff I was taking for 2 months. Sense of smell, taste was gone for a whole month, and then it came back. I was doing information on it, it said it might not ever come back. Some people might not get it back, or it could go in and out. I mean, you just don't know. So I was in my mind, I'm preparing to never have it again, but I felt good. Right? So Dr. McCullough also says, he said, did you know that you can't get it twice? I know you just said that you probably get it twice. He said you can't get it twice. He said the reason that you can't get it twice is, he said the virus from his studies is like the chicken pox or the measles. He said, you would get it one time normally when you were a kid, and you could be around somebody that have it, and you wouldn't get it again. He said, but what's happening is that the strands can stay in you for so long, and you can never get sick from them again. People go get tested twice, and they'll show another positive. Right? And it could be a head cold, it could be sinus, it could be the flu. He said it could be anything else. He said, as a matter of fact, he said, we've tested people and put them around other positive COVID people after they've had it one time, and they didn't catch it again. He said, didn't get sick again. He said, why? Because the way that our body's designed is that God designed you to be able to fight it off. That's the beauty of design of our Creator. So when somebody comes to tell me, they say, aren't you going to take the jab? I say, no. They say, why not? I'm like, I can't live in fear. You're like, what's going to live in fear? I'm not afraid, and I took it. Well, you are afraid. You just don't think fear looks the way it looks. Because if I believe in God, who's going to protect me, who's going to provide for me, and I do the things that my body needs to keep it healthy and protected, I don't need that. And if I do catch that, and if I do die from that, then that's the will for my life. That's what God wanted for me. But I'm not taking it. Right. And neither can you force me to take it. Right? Like when you put other kind of stuff in your body, by choice. Anything that I do in my life is because I chose to do it. When you say I have to do it, I automatically don't want to. Just because you said I have to. When somebody else says, aren't you worried about my health? Well, you got a smoking car outside. And every time you crank it up, it creates smog, but you're not going to get it fixed, and it's bad for my health. You're smoking cigarettes, and I don't agree with that. And you're standing right next to me outside of the park when I'm taking my kids over there, and that cigarette smoke is secondhand. It's not getting me, it's making me unhealthy, but you're still doing it. And all other kind of stuff. You're messing up the economy, right? You're bad with money. You're a bad friend. You're a bad husband. You're a bad family member. You don't check on me. You never come by. You don't give me anything for my birthday. That's affecting me. But I'm not complaining about it. I'm letting you live your life, so let me live mine. And have we ever seen a day in our lives? You guys are older than me. Have you ever thought you would live to see a time when you would tell somebody who you voted for and they start hating you? As a kid, I remember, because I hated politics as a kid, right? I thought it was the dumbest thing in the world. But I can remember being in a restaurant on voting day, and two men walk in and say, did you vote today? Yeah, I did. What about you? Yeah, I voted. Good job. Thank you. Yeah, waitress. Call her over. They didn't even discuss who they voted for. I remember growing up and it being a secret thing who you voted for. The only way you would know is if you saw your sign out. Those days are gone. And people think they're gone because of Trump. They don't understand that these are the tools used by the left to create a war against Trump. And you know it's only a war against Trump because Trump's not even in office. And when you tell somebody you're a Republican or a conservative, they can say, how could you sit up under a dictator like Trump? You're like, well, I was one before him. I'm not a conservative or a Republican, vote Republican because of Trump. I'm that because that's my moral compass and code. And that's who I've been before him. Now, I do believe that he did a great job for America, and I believe that he's still fighting for America. But if we took him out of the picture, it doesn't change my stance or my beliefs. He just added to it. I'm going to tell you what Trump did. Trump woke up a lot of people that were at home watching.
Right. This is true.
We wouldn't be in this room right now if it wasn't for that man. So as much as they hate it and they're upset, and that's really what they're upset about, that he woke up a lot of people to come together because we're doing stuff that never was done before on a local level. All the stuff we're doing now, we only saw it from Washington. We saw people storming and marching. You know, they're mad about the insurrection, right? They stormed the Capitol. They should be taken to jail, which they did take them to jail. They're still in jail right now. But they're mad about that. But you know, the Black Panthers have a documentary out right now. They stormed the Capitol in California with pistols. And those black men didn't go to jail. Nobody talks about that in the 70s, huh? Right? I grew up as a Black Panther fan. Right? Because of what they represented. Because I think the movement that we have is the same concept of them, right? We're just not trying to be violent. But if you really research the Black Panther Party, they were a political movement. And that's why the government had to destroy them. It wasn't about that. Because if you dig even deeper, the Black Panther Party talked about having a rainbow coalition. Why during a time when black people were being beat and they were still fighting for segregation, were these black people saying, we want a rainbow coalition, basically saying we want all races and colors and creeds to come together to fight against a corrupt system. Isn't that what we're doing right now? It's all races of people coming together to fight against a system that we all agree that's corrupt. So then now they're trying to mandate masks and vaccines all over again. And everybody in this room knew when we came out of that the last time, what did we all say? They're going to do it again next year. We all agreed, we said, when it starts getting ready to get cold again, they're going to do it all over again. Every friend and family member that they had, you had talked to, you said, don't celebrate. You guys don't be happy because it's coming back and they're going to do it all over again. And everybody that got vaccinated, I'm sure everybody in this room told them, they're going to come out with another vaccine, you're going to have to do it all over again. Because that's all they're doing, is doing the same. People don't have new things to do. It's the same thing over and over. Same tricks over and over. And guess what? People keep falling for them.
Because they work.
They do work.
Because they work.
And it's not very hard.
Messed up these people.
But you know how it works? It doesn't work by them making people do it. It works by them indoctrinating normal people and them getting mad at you for not doing it.
That's it.
Our biggest battle isn't against the government, it's against the regular people coming up to you telling you wrong for how you believe in your stance. Right? And when somebody comes up to me and argues with me about it, I'm like, look, my fight isn't even against you. You want to go back and forth with me. First of all, you can't out-debate me. If we really wanted to get into a real debate, I'd win. But on top of that, my fight is not with you. My enemy is the government. Because they're too big, they're too strong, they're too greedy, they're too corrupt, and they take all of our money, they've been controlling, they've been killing people for years, and you people have been blinded by it. I'm just trying to educate you on who they really are. And if you could wake up, it wouldn't be about red and blue, it'd be about us versus them.
Right on. Right.
Because they're controlling you. The only difference is, we see it and you don't. And the corruption runs deep. The Cuomo situation, we were all, I'm sure everybody in this room was saying, smoke screen.
Yeah.
Smoke screen.
Like throwing a bone. Yeah.
Well, Cuomo, all those vicious things he did to those women. Have you started doing the research on some of those women? No. A lot of them work for his cabinet.
Yeah.
We're talking about employees that came out all of a sudden. So if these were his employees, when he killed over 10,000 elderly in those nursing homes, they were part of the administration.
Yeah.
The real crime is the murdering of those elderly people in those nursing homes. So let's come out all together and let's say that I'm a sexual harasser. We'll all come out, you guys will bury me, I'll walk out into the shadows, and all you beautiful women can follow me. And we'll all walk away. And then in the midst of that, let's create something Afghan too and invite them to take a vacation.
Yeah, let's have a distraction.
So in 3 weeks from now, we'll even forget about Cuomo was even a conversation. It'll be something else new. But we won't forget it. And we don't forget anything they do.
That's right.
Never forget it. We still haven't forgotten 9/11. You know, when I was young, when that movie Fahrenheit 9/11 went out, I went to go see that movie. I don't know what interested me about that movie. I went to go see it, and I was sitting in the theater by myself like, holy crap. Our government is dirty.
Yeah.
And back then, you could put these movies in the movie theater. Now, we can't even get it on the internet. It gets banned from Facebook. Think about that. It was at a movie theater. All that free information. Guess who was in the movie? Donald Trump. Guess what he said in that movie? Standing outside the towers, he said, there's no way that those planes could have made it through those towers. They said, why not? He said, because the same men that built this building built the Trump Towers. He said, I gave them the contractors. And the way they built these places, he said, there's still beams in the bottom of them. He said, I don't care what kind of airplane or what kind of craft it is, they cannot break those beams. He said the explosion had to happen from the bottom up. It was something inside that building. This was Trump. They interviewed him for that movie. I became a Trump fan immediately. We're talking about 18 years old. From that point, I was intrigued with who this man was. Donald Trump. Oh, he's my guy. So when people be like, why'd you vote for Trump? He's a racist. I'm like, Trump? I graduated high school in 2000. Trump, I fell in love with Trump in 2000. I'm like, I'm not a new Trump guy. I read the Art of the Deal. I've been following him. I watched his interviews with Oprah Winfrey back in the 70s, her begging him to run for president. The same woman that hates his guts begged him and said, why don't you ever run for president? 2 to 3 interviews. Barbara Walters, why don't you run for president? In every interview, you know what that man was saying? I don't know, but the way America's looking right now is looking really bad. And if I do, I'd win. The interviews start going from him saying, I don't know, to, I don't know, I probably will someday.
my country needs me.
There you go. Then they're upset and saying, well, he switched parties. Well, a lot of people wake up. And they're still waking up today. So the question is not, did Trump switch parties? The question is,
Did the party switch?
we know the parties didn't switch either. Why aren't people leaving the Republican Party in groves and going to the Democratic Party is the real question. Because not only did he leave the Democratic Party, but so many others, including black people, have been leaving it in groves. Why aren't the Democrats asking those questions of why people are leaving our party? Because people are waking up and seeing that the corruption is being fueled through them. It is no different. Antifa is connected. All left wing is connected. The Democrats, socialism, it's all connected to the Democratic Party. Now, if you found that in the Republican Party, I wouldn't be a Republican. Now, I don't agree with everything from the Republican Party either. I call myself a conservative that votes Republican. And they say, well, it's corruption in your party. Why would you vote for it? Because of the foundation of the party. It's like me being a Christian, right? And people will say, well, these churches are corrupt. The Catholic churches are raping little boys. And there's so much evil going on. You got prosperity preachers that drive around in Bentleys and all this. How can you stand with a faith that does that? What's the foundation of my faith? Jesus, a perfect, sinless, spotless man. Muhammad wasn't. He was a pedophile and a rapist, a murderer. So there's no way I can stand with Islam because I'm looking at the founder. It's about the foundation, about the founding documents. That's why we're in love with the Constitution, because they wrote it in such a way that was perfect to us. And if we ever lose those values, then we've already lost the party anyways. Now, Democrats, what have they done? Took God out of it. Can't pray anymore. Can't mention God. Can't talk about anything that's whole and wholesome. Everything that's against God's order, that's what they represent.
That's right, the Antichrist party.
You come and tell them, man, I believe that marriage is between a man and a woman. Oh, how dare you say such an evil thing, you white supremacist? I'm black. You should at least call me a black supremacist. You're ashamed of your black skin. No, I love my black skin. I tell people all the time, if I died today and God said you can come back to earth, which I hope he never does, you can come back to earth, what would you want to be? I said, send me back as a swole black man. I want to have muscles all over again, and I want to be black. Why? I enjoy being black. And now is the best time to be black, because you can argue against the left. We are the best fight for the left. Why? Because they can't hit us with the racism argument. If you're white, that's the only thing they have to go to. As soon as you say something, say, well, yeah, Donald Trump, oh, you're racist. You're like, you didn't even let me get the name out.
You hate
I was
yourself.
going to say Barron Trump. Yeah, you hate yourself, right? You just hate yourself. You don't even know. No, actually, I love myself. I'm not bad at myself at all. They're teaching you, what if you just love yourself more than you open up your eyes? No, you can't see because of the great deception that's blinding you. Right? So thankful for you guys that have woken up and that are fighting this fight. We've got to continue to fight. We've got to continue to educate. People are asking me, how do you get the youth? I don't think there's any strategy that we need to use. Just continue to do what you're doing. They see it. You know how many young people have send me messages every single week because they see what I'm doing? By grows. And I'm not going after people. I don't send you messages and say, hey man, look at this. Hey man, no, I'll wait till you come to me. And then half the time when they come to me, I'll make them research it. I'll send them something and say, watch this, and then contact me back. That's what Michael Liddell said, right? When the reporters would come and ask him something, he'd say, watch my video and then come contact me back. And they wouldn't watch it. So that's how I know if you're looking for information, because that's where I was years ago, looking for information. And when God starts pulling on your heart, he finds you. That's what I believe that God does for every one of us. He's done it for everybody in this room. He pulls on your heart, he wakes you up, and then you go find the truth. Because it's right there for all of us. So these young men, they start sending me messages. They start asking me questions. I send them a link. I say, follow back up and have you watch it. When they do, now it's a door open. I send them something else. Right? Where's your relationship with the Father? You need to get plugged into a church. I know it's uncommon to go to church now, and it seems kind of weird, but that's the main place you want to be right now. Because we're in end days. Do y'all believe that this is the last days? I believe that every great generation of Christians believe they were in the last days. And here's the deal. They were.
They've been talking about it for 20 years to get people to wake up, and people say, oh, I ain't coming.
Now, if we took those saints that died 20 years ago and put them in our generation now with the same knowledge of what they went through, they would think, oh yeah, he's coming. The Lord is coming, because whatever this world is that we're living in and what they're doing is horrible. Horrible. It's bad. And when you start hearing the truth about how bad and corrupt it is, when we start mentioning certain names, they just cringe to us, the Clintons.
Right.
When I mention that name, everybody in this room is like, ooh, ooh, don't say that.
Right.
And they got away with it.
They're getting away with it.
And still getting away with it because they got their hands in all this mess right now.
Right.
Child trafficking too.
It's horrible. It's horrible. In Texas, number one. So we got a big fight on our hand. We got a big war on our hand. We can't stop now. We can't fold it. We can't let go. We got to keep pushing. Right? Because the time is of the essence.
Yes.
And it's going to get worse. We all know it's getting worse, right? I'm not going to sit here in front of you and say it's going to get better because history is proving itself. It always gets worse before it gets better. It's got to be a great climax of some bad events that trickled and wake enough people up to say, enough is enough. And we're almost there. Look how many people were at that Baylor rally in Dallas.
Oh yeah.
I walked after that thing and was like, holy crap. I wasn't ready. I was like, this is many people I've never seen at a rally before in my life. And we've been going to a lot of rallies in this room, right? That one showed me, oh, it's something different happening now.
Yes.
No longer are people laying down and saying, we're going to just take it. People have woke up and they're getting their kids away. Kids are wearing Make America Great hats again, patriotic t-shirts. I'm like, it's such a beautiful thing to see. Right? And I wish somebody would grab a hat off my kid's head. That'd be the last hat he grabs in his whole life.
Right.
I wish you would. I'm not looking for trouble, but if you touch my family, it's over.
I hear you.
Not only that, if anybody touched anybody in this room and I was in there, it'd be trouble. And that's how powerful we need to be as a movement. I'm not trying to say you have to be physical, but people need to know. Antifa and all that crap, they know. Never. They could never pull that stuff on real conservatives. They do it in places that they know they can get away with it.
I've done it.
Come down to Texas with that.
That's right.
We're not going to have it. We're not going to have it.
They organized one out in
Weatherford.
Weatherford.
They didn't last 5
Didn't
years.
work.
They didn't last 5
It's not gonna
minutes.
Right.
It
Too many men
It
packing.
didn't work in Irving either.
Good.
We were packing big time. I was
Good.
spraying, but others came packing.
Oh, good.
They didn't mess with us.
Well, amen.
But wasn't that Dallas rally just wonderful? I mean, it was.
That blew my mind.
It was just.
It was crazy.
It was all the
It was
things we were
great.
hoping for, right?
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It just shows you the power of the movement, how much it's growing, and how much momentum we're getting. And it's such a beautiful thing.
Yes, it is.
And when you see it, it's like, because it gets so dark sometimes.
Yeah.
And when you go out to a place like that, when you see that much red, white, and blue, it makes you be like, okay, we're getting this thing right. If you start to get down on yourself just a little bit, when you see that, you're like, we're doing it right.
Can you explain to them what we need to do also is not be divided? Because of Trump, because I hear that because he mentions job, you know, that he's trying to kill us also, that he's with the other one. So, and I don't believe that. He has a reason why he mentions it.
She's talking
Yeah.
about,
And we
she's
keep
talking about
being
Operation Warp
divided,
Speed.
because look what's going on right now with Afghanistan. If we keep being, if we divide ourselves
Right.
against him, we're doomed. I'm
Right.
telling you.
I look
We
at
don't
it
have
like
to
this.
agree, but we should be
Yeah.
united. Even
Well,
though we're
our
not
house
going to
is
disagree on
right
different
first.
things.
Yeah.
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 But we're all united as one. Like today when we were down in Dallas, that was beautiful. We've been going for a year and a half and never had that response. I have all the people that was crying. They say, wow, remember when there was only 3 or 4 of us out there? Week after, and they were all, and people that were visiting from other states were so inspired. Like, we're from Michigan, and man, we're having it hard. Another man, I'm from Chicago. Thank you guys for doing this. And they were like crying because they don't see it in their states.
Yeah.
And they're seeing something here.
Yeah,
That we're inspiring them.
I'll say this about Trump. Trump's my guy. I love him. I don't trust that jab though. And I don't care
Okay,
who pushes it.
that's
That's
right.
right.
The first time I heard Trump say that,
Right.
I walked out of the room I was in my house. I walked and told my wife, I said, Trump's pushing that jab, and I don't like it.
Come on,
Yeah.
my
And
pastor.
here's the deal. Trump's a human, right? And he's a businessman.
Right.
So when I think of Trump, I still think he's still a businessman, right?
Very.
And this was the original theory, because if you hear some politicians talk, they say the Trump vax. Have y'all ever heard that?
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, well, the Trump vax. So the original theory was Trump has one of these vaxes that's specifically he has his hand in. The military took that vax when he was getting ready to leave out of office, and they redid the formula, and this one particular vax is the one, and so they're calling it the Trump vax. But we don't know which one it is,
It's a line.
and I don't even know if I believe that. So I'm just saying I don't trust vax. I'm still riding with Trump, but when it comes to that one thing, no.
That's That's right.
And so I just tell people that all the time. When they ask me, they say, how you feel about Trump? Yeah, Trump's still the guy. They go, what about Trump pushing the back? I don't like the jab.
That's
I'm
right.
like, I don't know why he's pushing it. I think this thing will be revealed in the future. But for right now, all I'm saying is, him, Ron Paul, and only a few others are really standing out. Like Ron Paul.
Rand Paul.
Ron Paul. So he ain't pushing the jab either. So, you know, I think we still have some people that are fighting for us, and that's what we have to remember is that he's the one that unified us, right? So we can never banish somebody that did the work that we were missing. He was a missing piece to the puzzle, but the puzzle isn't done. So we still got a lot of work to do, but we still got to keep in mind, you are pushing the jab, right? We'll elect you again, but we're going to push back on you hard and ask you, why?
Ain't nobody perfect.
Right, it
He
is.
also,
No,
woke
We all make
people, he
mistakes.
also woke people up about the media, because we were
Definitely.
trying to tell people,
definitely.
and then they started going, oh, yeah, he's right.
Definitely. And you know what's funny? I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get a mic up. I listened to a lecture the other day from a lady speaking at Hillsdale College. They always put up these great lectures, bringing these great speakers, you know, right?
Yeah.
And so she said, she talked about her topic was fake media, right, or fake news. And she said, do you know where the term fake news came from? Right? And she said, Hillary and Obama. Because the narrative started being pushed against them, people woke up to who they really were, and the news started saying stuff against them.
Wow.
And so they would sit down and interview them and say, well, yeah, you're listening to the fake news, right? That media company's fake media. And so I had to go back and start looking for old excerpts, and they actually were saying that. And so it came from Hillary and Obama because the right stood up so strong against them, and even some of the left were actually putting out the truth on who they were too. And so they coined the term fake news, and when Trump came in, he blew it out of the water because whatever he says turns to gold. Right? Obama was one of the most popular presidents that ever lived, but Obama's problem was, the reason that he didn't get Trump's fame is because Obama didn't have a past of being a leader. Right? And we know it's a lot of fishy stuff in his past too. Like, who is Michelle, right? Like, all this kind of stuff. We all know, right? Like, who is that?
Michael.
Right, exactly. So we all were privy to that, right? Remember Joan Rivers came out and was like, everybody knows the truth about her, right? So, but Trump has more respect, I think, than any other politician besides Reagan because of who his past life was. He was already a king, and we already looked at him as a kingpin. He was already a boss. He was already a businessman, and he was the king of New York. That's what we call him. He was king of New York. So I think that when he came out and said it, everybody's like, fake news, fake news, that's fake news, that's fake news. It made it so much stronger. But they're the ones that actually coined the term, and it backfired on them. See, that's what happens to the left. All right, guys, let's pray real quick. Oh, you got something?
I want to suggest something for you,
Go ahead.
because obviously, I mean, I want you to run for some office, any office, okay?
I'm going to run again.
But here's my suggestion for you.
Go ahead.
I was thinking about this when I was up in Iowa, because when I was going down through that parade, a lot of the kids were watching. I had a little black girl, 10 years old, and she goes, "What's happening?"
You don't have to say that like quietly.
You just-
I know.
No,
And it was a little.
She was. They were the ones.
Just say
They were
that.
the ones listening. The little kids.
Wow.
It doesn't matter, black, white, Asian. They were all coming up to the curb. Kelly. Okay, so I'm on the mic. Okay, so you're a strong voice. Okay, would be a strong leader. What about if you do an event, right? An event thing. I'm just thinking of a strategy here. With God Save Our Children, whatever. We get the parents together and we're telling them, you know, go to the school board, do this, right? What if we say, okay, let's get the parents together, off the school board, sit them down and say, how do you guys feel about this? What if Kelly Burke, or whoever you want to put in there, I don't care. We have you parents bring your children to an event, you know, whatever, probably junior high and up, I would say could do this. And then at a certain time in school, you're going to all, at some time, you're going to take that damn mask off. And we're all going to all be backing you up. Because like Rand Paul just said, they can't keep all your kids out. But I mean, do you think you could do that and like say, kids, this is what you could do?
I mean, I'm not afraid
What
to
do
do
you
it.
think?
It's going to take all of us to put it together, though. I can't do it by myself.
No.
And since you had the great idea, everybody in this room thinks Philly should probably spearhead it, and we all help her do
But
it.
wouldn't it be cool if we went to different,
Yeah, start.
we could do, you know, Grapevine, Irving,
Yeah.
Arlington, Keller, and we go, hey, all Keller parents, if you're against this and your kid doesn't like it, you meet us at this such and such location.
Yep.
And we'll support you kids, you know,
Definitely.
we got your back.
Yeah. I think it's
Because I think they're afraid to stand up.
They are.
But they wanna.
Hopefully they
Oh,
don't.
yeah.
They keep lifting these, not pushing the mandate, because then they actually listen to what Abbott's doing and they don't do it. But yeah, I'm with that.
Right?
Yeah.
We gotta figure out how to strategize, but you have to ask the parents first, but I don't see why the children wouldn't want to.
Oh, your children don't want
Yeah,
to.
most
Parents will be
Yeah, but I think if they knew because they might not know, little Johnny doesn't like it and little Susie doesn't like it. What if all those children met at once and said, we don't like it either. Oh, you don't like it either? Oh, you don't like it either? Because they'll do it if other kids do it.
Yes.
But if they're afraid that no one will do it, they're afraid of it. I think, say at lunchtime, they're like, we're out. We're throwing them down and we're going back to class.
Protest, huh?
And have the teachers walk out
That's right.
on the students. The students are sitting there going, what happened? We're done with lunch and we're done with the mass
Yes.
at a certain time, you know what I mean? I don't know if we could do that. but-
Yeah, I mean, you spearheaded.
I think it would be great.
Yeah, so
Do you think there's gonna be a food shortage?
food shortage. Yes, because we've already seen the videos of, well, they're paying farmers to destroy the crops. So that's going to be the next thing they're going to do, because they're paying the farmers off, they're going to have to destroy all the crops. And then when we're going to start going to the stores, they're not going to have any food. So, but Gates is pushing this fake food, this GMO, genetically modified food that he's making with these lasers and all the stuff he's been creating for a long time. You know, he's got the most land in America now. So that's going to be the farmlands to make whatever this fake food is, and that's what they're going to start pushing on. So I'm not sure if some of you got people in here know about that the Farmers Association that have already been working against this, because it's a conservative group of independent farmers that are creating this coalition to where when it actually does happen, that we can buy direct from them. And so that's been my focus. Actually, when I go speak to big groups, I tell them, look, anybody with money in here and you've got land, please start opening it up to where you can sell portions of your land to people, because we're going to need this in the near future. And we need to get into farming. If it takes us, I know Kelly Joe, they have land. I talked to them about it already. I'm like, look, we need to get with people that have land and start getting our own cattle, where you can buy a calf for $500. You know what I mean? And you can only buy one or two at a time. If you have somebody's land we put it on, we're all working it. And when it gets to a point where we're going to need that, that's the kind of resources that we're going to need in the future. Because yes, I do believe, and biblically, even if we just didn't even look at anything the government was doing, if we look at it from a biblical standpoint, we all believe that the book of Revelation is going to happen. And we're seeing it happen right now. The government just came out with the chip to find out, supposedly, if you have corona in your body, or the Pentagon, to find out if you have COVID in your body. It's a chip that they can just scan and tell you. Well, we know that chip is not for corona. It has nothing to do with COVID. The chip's for them to know everything about you, which we already think that's in the vax anyway, though. You know what I mean? So, I definitely think that time is coming. And these farmers have been destroying their crops. They're doing videos of saying that this is the option they gave. Either we pay you to destroy it, or we come and fly over your crops and destroy it with this, whatever this pesticidal stuff is that kills your crops, and they're going to do it for you. They said, well, I think the farmer said in this one video, he said, well, how much do you need me to destroy? They said, we'll be watching. Just start destroying it off little by little, and we'll tell you when it's good enough.
You know what they do in the Midwest? They give them $10,000 an acre not to farm it.
And that's a lot of money.
CRP land.
If you're a farmer, and if you're walking with the Lord or not, it's going to be hard for those farmers to say no, because the other option is we're going to destroy it. You just have to destroy mine. I mean,
Rosa has a report from Mexico.
Well, my husband has family over there, and also they were doing a roofing in my house, and the guy that was working there told us that his brothers was bringing avocados from Mexico. They did not allow them to cross the border. They send them back to us. So we're not gonna have nothing coming from.
well, you know what happened with Mexico? They're mad at the president of Mexico because the
No,
president is.
but that's the United States turning them back.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's a war. It's going to be a war between the United States and Mexico, because the president of Mexico said, don't bring that jab over here. He said, we don't want it. He said, I don't trust Big Pharma. He said, I don't know what it is yet. I haven't figured it out. We're looking at it. He said, but as of now, we don't want it. And he said, now don't trust Big Pharma. That was his exact words. He said, so maybe in the future, maybe I'll look into it. But from what we see right now, we don't need it and we don't want that.
No, but they have it because they've been dying.
They have
That's
what?
The father told my husband.
But I've
The
heard,
jab?
Yeah, they're being nice.
I've heard they're coming over here, Kelly. They're coming over to
They
get it.
handed up,
And
yeah.
going,
Oh, that's okay, because I feel that the president just came out and said he didn't want it over there.
They were
Well, see, they want the
paying
kid.
people 500 pesos to say that they died from COVID when
Gotcha.
they did it. That was to create the fear and everything like that. Even here, for some of my neighbors, their husbands died, and they tried to put that on the death certificate.
That's
And they
what-
said, no, we'll sue.
Yes.
So there is something going on, but overall, I think the president has taken a stand
Yeah, he
in
took a stand.
Mexico.
Same thing the president of Haiti, same thing the president of
And they all
Canada,
died.
who all been killed already. So
Yeah.
hopefully the president of Mexico has enough cartel around him to.
But
He is cartel now. Let's not get that twisted.
also they don't like him, the United States, the government right now doesn't like him because he is pro-Trump.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. He is pro Trump. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So they hate him. He's probably on the top of the list right now. They kill everybody there.
We need to pray for him.
Oh, real quick, I'll give it to you, Trevor. Oh, you got something? You got something else?
I have some questions.
Yes.
And I'm with your company, so I'm gonna ask you something that's been kicking around in my mind for a while. So just in my lifetime, we've heard about a lot of different diseases that have come from animals. And with COVID, I really didn't question the whole bat thing until the article came out from Dr. Joseph Mercola talking about how he thought it was gain of function and creating a lab. And then I started thinking, I don't know if any of you guys have been thinking about this too. What about all the others? What about HIV that supposedly came from monkey? What about swine flu that supposedly came from?
It
You
wasn't
know what I'm
hard.
saying? Like,
It
what
wasn't
about
All
stories
those things
like-
have been, Fauci was behind the eight ball.
Yes,
Fauci was
Fauci was behind everything.
Fraud So what she just said, I think we can all agree in this room that any of these viruses that have came out in America since, let's just say the 50s, we can go 60s, but let's just say the 50s on up, we believe they created them. Yeah. I mean, if they had a machine to change the weather in like World War II, then we believe that they've been making this stuff the whole
I
time.
think the
They were
heart
putting
machine
God.
is what had caused the land derecho in Iowa and obliterated millions of crops.
Yeah,
A land hurricane, come on.
Get our army together.
Okay, well, here we go. God, we thank you for allowing us to hear. I know Trevor's about to come up after me, but God, I just want to pray over your people. God, thank you for everyone that is here. Thank you for everyone that is involved in this fight, that is in this room. Continue to equip them, prepare them, protect them, keep them strong, fierce, and bold, and not afraid of the plan of the divisive enemy and his demons, God, that are ruling this world. But God, allow us to stand firm on your word and have no fear and trust, God, that you have us protected. And we will rest assured in you. And God, we just believe, God, that you have a plan for us. God, we believe that you are coming back to get us. And God, before that time, we believe that you have your angels protecting us, your warring angels that are standing around us, God, protecting our homes, protecting our cars, protecting our businesses, protecting our families. And God, we just ask you that you continue to equip us, God, and keep us holy and steadfast. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.